After a catastrophic leak by hackers that led to hundreds upon hundreds of arguments and videos on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, the Avatar The Last Airbender Avatar Aang movie is now officially released, and I finally was able to watch it in full. And no, that is not a misdirection or clever wording to mean I watched it through quote-unquote other means. I gritted my teeth, bought that heaping pile of bison crap of a subscription for Paramount Plus, watched the movie, loved it, enjoyed it, and then I instantly sent it to the Shadow Realm as soon as the movie was over. I am not maintaining that subscription for any particular reason whatsoever. Now I'm going to say this now because a lot of people got on my butt when I uploaded a video ranting about the movie being leaked and a lot of the short videos I was talking about. If you are out there still claiming that you don't really care about the fact that the movie was leaked and thought you can be so clever and funny to say like, oh, but I watched it early, I'm better than you. Listen, bro, have your thoughts. Say what you want, believe as you wish. Honestly, as much as I do not like what Paramount has been doing with Avatar The Last Airbender in so many regards, to the video game, to the TV show, to everything attached to it, I don't really care if you feel like you're better than me if you decide to watch it early through unofficial means. I want to support the official release. I don't want to support Paramount. In simple terms, my love for Avatar is much bigger than my hatred for Paramount at this moment in time. So let's get cleared up right now. But of course, I wanted to do a review of the movie. I wanted to talk about all the things that I thoroughly enjoyed about the movie, especially putting it on display, showing that this movie is worth watching, even if there might be a little bit of gripes that I have for the movie. Now, don't get me wrong, I may be severely biased to Avatar The Last Airbender, and I want to say that this movie is perfect in every regard, in every possible way, but we all know good and well that there are some things in this movie that could have been severely improved upon. But in the grand scheme, there's a lot of things that are very positive about this movie also. With all that being said, let's actually start off with all of the great positives about the Avatar The Last Airbender movie, Avatar Aang. As someone who personally grew up with a lot of 2D animated series like Avatar The Last Airbender, Teen Titans, and a lot of animes also like Naruto and Dragon Ball, I'm the believer, like a lot of others, who believe that 2D animation has been completely and utterly underutilized in so many spheres, especially in the television sphere, the movie sphere, and anything adjacent to that. And as much as a bunch of these other corporate companies may not agree with what I just said, this movie right here is a testament to show that they are completely incorrect. This movie has such breathtaking 2D animation, art styles, and motions that I haven't seen in a recent movie that has the same kind of feel as it, except for maybe Across the Spider-Verse, specifically Across the Spider-Verse, because they have some similar art styles on top of that. This is the first time that we have seen Avatar The Last Airbender in a animated format in a long time, and they actually got so many talented artists onto this movie to show that they can actually bring forth just the same amount of effort from the old cartoon and amplify it 10 times more. All of the pastel colors that come through this movie, it may not be so blinding for you to actually watch the movie. It's just subtle enough, but still having that vibrant feel from the old cartoon, having these dynamic colorings and shadings and shadows amongst each other that doesn't feel like they overlap each other. It doesn't feel like that they're overpowering one another. It actually feels like they all are working conjoined together, from the backgrounds to the clothing of the characters, to the mountainsides, to the backgrounds, to the sunlight in the background, to the clouds and suns, and everything on top of that. I feel like the animation on top of the art style, on top of the sequences that you see throughout the movie, has been so breathtaking as I watch this movie that it almost makes me angry. It still makes me so angry that I literally could not even watch this in the theaters, even if with the gripes that I have currently. I wished I had the ability to watch this in theaters. Watching this on my computer, on the computer screen that I have currently in front of me right now, feels illegal. And with that also, the character designs are chef's kiss, mwah, especially with the adult forms of a lot of these characters, because honestly, bro, I'm gonna tell you this right now, adult Toph, like, look at her right here, look at her right now, look at her. Tell me right now you wouldn't, knock that down if you could, respectfully. Thank God this is adult Toph. We can talk about this now. We can do this now, huh? It's not weird anymore, I promise, right? Right? It's not weird, right? Just let me know if it's weird or not. I'm gonna tell you this right now, bro. I can't believe how they did these characters so well in this environment. You see them actually still maintain some of their old school looks from the old cartoon. You can see that this is a time frame that somewhat matches the timeline from the ending of the first cartoon, and in between then to Korra, seeing them trying to build on Republic City, seeing how they've developed their styles from their fashion sense to their physical bodies being built and strong, amongst all of them proving that they have still been working on their crafts even years after the 100-year war. On top of that, showing how they respect the cultures that they're trying to build inside of Republic City, seeing Republic City in its infancy. All of this is some of the best I've seen from an artistic viewpoint. You seems like you're watching a real life art piece, a painting come to life, flow across your screen, to the point that I had to pause the movie at multiple points just to admire at what was put on in front of me, to see everything that they have been drawing in the backgrounds, all of the little, nuances that they're shown on it. Even like a little thing that they did on an airship with Sokka actually placing his face on it, and you see the after image print as he walks away, because he has heat and is leaving like an imprint, like the condensation on top of that. And another positive that I really enjoyed about this movie is actually the storyline, the plot, and also the antagonist of the movie. Taga, I actually really like him because he is actually a direct parallel to another character in Team Avatar. So basically the plot line is this: Aang wants to restore the air nomads, but he doesn't necessarily know how, and he is feeling this weight on his shoulders. And then he learns about information about a past Avatar life known as Avatar Sonam. Avatar Sonam is not in the line anywhere. For whatever reason, they couldn't find her, but they learned that she has a staff that exists in the world that they have to go find that actually might be able to bring that to life. And when Aang actually goes find the staff, he finds Taga, who's actually encased in a ball of ice just like how he was in the original cartoon. But essentially, he actually meets an airbender again for the first time in a very long time, and they connect immediately, talking to each other about their histories and their backstories and their growth as an airbender, but realizing that Taga is actually having a little bit more ulterior motives. He actually has a little bit more of a darker past, because in his timeline, the earthbenders killed off a lot of the air nomads, and he wanted to use the staff that Avatar Sonam used to actually give airbending powers to other people, to build an army of airbenders to actually have a more of a violent front against these other nations who want to wipe them out. And basically, Aang and Taga go against each other because Taga doesn't believe in the path that Aang is going on, the path of pacifism, learning how to combine and doing unification with all the nations instead of having this one unified force and keeping everything segmented. Well, this plotline is very similar to Katara's situation when she ran into Hama, the one only other southern waterbender that was still alive after the 100-year war had started. To the point that the parallels are damn near identical, because when it comes to Katara, she did the same thing. She found Hama, she freed her from the firebenders, and she taught her about all these different things that she can do with waterbending, showing that she is limiting herself because thinking that she has to only think about water in the very visible sense, to only see water where it actually exists in front of you. She's talking about water that exists in the air, in the flowers, all that good stuff. And then of course the one thing she taught her, the most controversial version of bending and waterbending, blood bending. Now usually when this sort of happens, I personally would not be a big fan of storylines kind of being repeated. The only reason why I was not too mad about this is because it actually shows how intertwined Aang and Katara could have been. It could actually be a situation when Aang in the movie, he actually talks about this, saying that he believes that none of his team actually can understand the pain that he's really going through, when in reality, technically, Katara can actually vividly understand what he's going through, not to the most severe extent, but she can still understand. She was a waterbender. A waterbender was being killed off by the Fire Nation because of bloodbending. A lot of the firebenders believe that a lot of waterbenders in the Southern Water Tribe had the abilities of Hama, so they killed off any waterbenders that they could find. So that means to me that they can actually relate a lot deeper about the situation because they had similar circumstances. And of course, another positive is I really like that Dave Bautista is the voice actor for Taga. Like, he fits that voice for that character a lot, and I like, Aang's voice actor a little bit. He's not too bad. But now I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper into the negatives. I know a lot of people are jumping into the positives. Now, when I say the negatives, I'm going to say this now for those who are Avatar fans. I am just as big as a fan as you guys, but I want the highest quality. The quality that we can get, the quality that we deserve. We know that Avatar has given us some of the best storytelling on planet Earth from the cartoon. So do not get mad at me when I'm being a little bit critical about the movie, even though I know good and well it may not entirely be the writers and the animators and the editors' fault. To me right now, one of this movie's biggest problems, one of its biggest weaknesses, is the pacing. The pacing, for the most part, is pretty fast in the first act. In the second and third act, it slows down a little bit. It gets a little bit more concentrated and concrete. But in the first to second half, it feels like it went through all this information pretty quickly, that it felt like I had to catch the information as I go along. Now, it wasn't hard for me to catch. I'm just saying it felt like it was going a little bit too fast for my liking. Like in the very beginning, we just get Aang having a nightmare. Cool. But then as soon as we get from the nightmare, we go to the Eastern Air Temple. I'm thinking we're going to get a nice progression into him, trying to maintain the air temples, something like that. But then as soon as he goes to the air temple, he gets attacked. And as soon as he gets attacked, he has to go to Republic City. He meets Katara. Then he goes to Katara. Then they have a healing session. They go to the healing session. And then he talks about he has to build the team and blah, 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 blah. Like, it goes from beat, 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 beat. It doesn't really feel like it takes a moment to sit down and breathe with the situation at hand, because we have to believe that Aang has been spending most of his time away from Republic City and actually trying to rebuild his air nomad people, his locations, the actual artifacts that exist along them, and kind of trying to avoid the people that he cares about, because that is part of his thing. Part of his thing is running away. So I personally felt like that conversations between him and Katara should have been a little bit longer and a little bit more condensed, and actually have a little bit longer and more unique dialogue, because I felt like the dialogue was just kind of repeating itself, saying like, oh, Aang has to be the Avatar. I understand you care about your people, but you are still the Avatar and you have to take care of everyone. They were kind of repeating the same thing. Another thing on top of that is that his interactions with the other members of Team Avatar. Now, I understand the whole point of this to imply that they have been kind of separate and they have been doing a lot of work in their own nations, trying to build unity across the nations in different ways, trying to help them all in different formats. But one thing I felt like that should have been led upon is that as soon as Aang wanted to get help, he never went to go get them himself. He kind of just went on his own to go deal with the situation, and then he just sent a bunch of birds to people to tell them, hey, I need you guys' help. And I felt like we should have had a, oh, Team Avatar is back moment. We should be having a team up moment that was a little bit more climactic, or not necessarily has to be epic. I'm not trying to say it has to be epic or super flashy or anything like that. Like, what we got was fine, but I felt like they could have done something a little bit more impactful. I was glad to see them, cuddled up to each other when they were talking to Taga after he was saved from the iceberg, but I just couldn't bring myself to think that I feel like we were missing something. I felt like we missed something before we got to meet Taga. I felt like they should have had a moment together at that moment in time. Also, a lot of the characters in this movie didn't really have that many lines outside of Aang and Katara and Taga. Most of the people that were talking was those characters. Now, maybe I'm being a little bit over analyzing about this, because I felt like maybe someone should have said more. I felt like I should have had more like one-on-one scenes with Aang and Zuko or anything like that. Like, I felt like there should have been a bit more personalized dialogue amongst the characters. That's what I mean mostly, because a lot of it was very situational dialogue. On top of that, I'm going to talk about the voice actors here, and I am not trying to, talk bad about them. I know they're doing their best. This is what they got, but I'm just saying they necessarily, from a executional standpoint, I felt like they kind of were just like going through the lines. They weren't exactly speaking like through the vein of the character. Mostly the ones who were doing that was Taga, Aang sometimes, and Katara, and a little bit of Toph. But outside of that, it didn't feel like the voices of the characters had that much energy behind them. Like, the lip syncs with the characters do not match the emotion that they are trying to convey. In the very moments when they're in the Fire Nation airship and they're going through the Forever Storm and are about to die, even though that everything seems like they're about to explode and die, Zuko seems to be speaking in the exact same tone when he's not in danger. Same thing with Sokka. Like, yes, he is reacting, but Sokka's animation is so overreactive, just like how Sokka acts. The voice doesn't match what he was trying to say or do. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it just feels out of sync. It doesn't feel like it matches properly. But lastly, one of the negatives of this movie is some of the plot points of the movie. I believe that a lot of them were pretty surface level. Like, you dive deeper into this topic with Katara and Hama. In this situation, it's no different. But for whatever reason, it doesn't feel nearly as impactful compared to it when it was in the cartoon. I think one of the main reasons why is because with that situation in the cartoon, we see Hama train Katara for an extended period of time in that one episode, showing her everything that she has missed outside of waterbending. In this movie, they actually do the same thing relatively, but you only get one moment, which is them learning to fly with each other without any gliders, showing that they're kind of boomeranging each other across the air, using airbending to connect to each other through each other's hearts and wills, being free in the air. Something like that is very symbolic to Aang and the airbenders, which is very true. But it doesn't feel like it connects entirely from a personal level from my viewpoint. I don't necessarily know why. For whatever reason, it doesn't connect as deep to me compared to the first version in the cartoon. Now, maybe you agree with me on this segment. Just let me know how you can describe it, because I am still trying to figure out how I feel about that segment, trying to understand it. But I think the main thing is that I was hoping maybe they would do a little bit of a connection with everyone, because one of the reasons why I think that betrayal, or one of the moments that was so impactful, was because Hama was relating to everyone on the team but was focusing on Katara because she's the waterbender. And on top of that, technically Hama won at what she was trying to do. She was trying to continue the line of bloodbenders because she was the last one. And all she needed was another waterbender who was willing to learn from her. And she manipulated Katara in such a fine-tuned degree that it literally penetrated to the depths of her mind, to her psyche, to the point that she was willing to ban bloodbending in every capacity. In the movie, you kind of see the betrayal coming a mile away, because you might be thinking, oh, you want to know who Avatar Sanam is, because at this point in time, Aang doesn't know who Avatar Sanam is. He has to find her, but her spirit is not in the Avatar line. Her spirit is elsewhere, so he has to go find her. When he finds Taga, I at first assumed that was Avatar Sanam, but in reality, Taga was trapped by Avatar Sanam because of the things that he was trying to do. So in my mind, a airbender who doesn't know that the air nomads has been completely wiped out now finds out that decades later, after his freezing, that air nomads are no longer existent except for Aang. And we're dealing with a man who's already vengeful and angry about the loss of his people, not even just the entirety of the air nomads. We're talking about just some of his friends and brothers that were killed off during that time frame. And he was willing to kill and break the oath of the air nomads just to bring them back. Hama had no real connection to the Southern Water Tribes, because to a degree they didn't like her either. I don't know, I could see the connections, but something about the execution of it in the movie just doesn't hit, and I'm not explaining it properly. So if you agree what I'm coming from, you let me know. But honestly, those were the main negatives I had about the movie. Like, I felt like the story could have been a little bit deeper, had a little bit more slower moments to dive into the environment or dive in with the characters a little bit deeper, get a little bit extra 30, maybe 40 minutes of movie time to explore that. But then again, that's just how I feel like it should have been. Because I know some of the artists are posting stuff on social media, and there were some things that they showed that didn't end up in the final movie. So honestly, maybe there was a lot more to this movie that meets the eye that could have been significantly impactful to the film to make it 10 times better, but we gotta do with what we got. If I realistically had to rate this movie from an unbiased viewpoint, I would rate it a 6 out of 10, a movie that I most likely will rewatch, but I know good and well it may not be as satisfying as I want it to be from a storytelling standpoint, but I will only watch it just for the fight scenes, the art styles, and my beautiful adult version of Toph. That muscle mommy Toph. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna be mad about it. I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I'm not gonna feel bad about it. She just looks too good, bro. Look at her. I can't. But if I were to rate this movie with my bias, it would probably be like an 8 out of 10, and I would just rewatch it 100 times over. But yeah, that's my review of Avatar The Last Airbender, Avatar Aang, the movie. I hope you guys enjoyed the movie also. We all now can be holding hands together, all those who watched it legitimately and those who watched it through other means, and we can join hands and be happy that the movie is now officially released, and we hope, pray, and hope that maybe Paramount will give it just a little bit more respect in the coming years, but I'm not going to hold my breath. So until then, we will get more Avatar. I'm going to still support it from a financial standpoint, because like I said before in the beginning of the video, I love Avatar more than I hate Paramount. If you really like this video, don't forget to leave a like on the channel. It helps me out in the long run. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe for future videos just like this. It's your boy Kadukun. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.
FMA, handle business, don't play. On point when it comes to the anime. Jack and Daxter, ayy, let's go. The ultimate heroes, don't stop, we on the road. Kadukun. Yeah, welcome to the channel.